Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of A2D Agree to Disagree. I'm Michael. I'm here with Bryan, and we are continuing our fantasy football rankings, and we're getting right into quarterbacks. BT Roth, the Batman, quarterbacks is something that we talked about a little bit before with like receivers and stuff like that. Quarterbacks is something that we're not always extremely high on right off the bat, but anything that you got to say before quarter? I mean, it's a PPR ranking, but quarterbacks don't really get affected by PPR. So
Right, they still score the most points, right? So they're still an important position. Yeah, obviously we're not too excited about it because you and I both like to wait. That's one thing we actually do agree on with this position. We kind of wait, not too long though. You don't want to wait and then be left with some scraps because, like I said, it is the highest scoring position. So you do want someone that you can trust. That being said, the average from number one, the consensus number one, Josh Allen, to like say your top, for me, 15. Not to give it away a little early, Tua. I got Tua Tagovailoa at 15 to Josh Allen at one. One's probably going to average what 22, 23. The other one's probably going to average like 19, 20. So I don't think the gap is so big to where you really need to push any of these guys up the board. That being said, so average draft position, I'm not getting any of these guys until like fourth, fifth round. I'd rather load up elsewhere first.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that in our draft strategy. We are two guys that like to wait on quarterback unless if you get an extreme value, like you said, in late round three with top round four with a guy like Josh Allen. Difference with Josh Allen compared to Tua is he's more likely and more susceptible to have a 40-point outburst at some point in the season. Not saying Tua is not capable of it now with all the offense that he has down there, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the averages, if you look at the averages, I mean, it might be a 50-point disparity from first to 15th, and you divide that by three. I mean, it's only 3 points a week. Or I'm sorry, divide that by 16. It's only 3 points a week. So, but yeah, we'll get right into our rankings. And, some people like to draft quarterbacks high. They like to draft multiple quarterbacks. So you already mentioned it right off the bat. Consensus number one is Josh Allen. I don't think anybody's going to sit there and disagree with that. Dual threat guy. He throws the ball deep. He has a gun. He can run the ball. He likes to run the ball. He's a goal line option, and he's going to have a lot of touchdowns this year. My favorite quarterback in the league. I like the way the guy plays. So, anything. I mean, I don't know how much is there to add to
Nah,
that.
man. I second that redemption season. Yeah, I think he's a little pissed off. He didn't get the ball in overtime against the Chiefs in the playoffs. He was coming on strong to end this season last year.
Yeah.
He might be the most talented guy in the league. So yeah, and they don't have that running back. I know they got James Cook, but he's more of the receiving guy. Singletary's not a guy like when they get. You mentioned the goal line when they get down there, he's not afraid to take it himself. So yeah, for me, he's number one. Number two, for me, I don't know if we're gonna agree on this one. I got Justin Herbert. I think that offensively, that they are a complete offense. They added to the offensive line. They got the running back. They got two receivers. I think that, and they got a quarterback that's year three now. He's going to take another step forward. And I think a big thing, an underrated thing, is their defense. They got on the Chargers, they got J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. I know that doesn't help fantasy points, but they give Justin Herbert a few more possessions per game. I think he's going to get a few more points per game. And he was near the top last year. And this year, I think the team's going to take another step. You wouldn't be surprised to see the Chargers in the Super Bowl. This team is talented, and he might be the most talented. And yeah, Justin Herbert, number two for me. Big year.
Yeah, I have Justin Herbert at three. I have another third-year guy at number two, and that's Joe Burrow. We saw Joe come on late last year. He went to the Super Bowl. He talked about a team that just boosted their offensive line. They boosted their offensive line. They have, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They brought in Hayden Hurst at tight end to replace Ozama. They have Mixon, and they're gonna again. That's the team that you want any part of, whether it's their receivers, their running back. They're gonna score a lot of points. They're gonna be in a lot of barn burner games. I mean, I had a hard time picking between Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. I go with Joe because at the end of last year, we kind of saw a little bit of that outburst. And Justin Herbert, to me, has a very good chance to be league MVP, and I talked about that earlier. And that's kind of my guy who I'm going with league MVP. As far as fantasy points, I think that Joe Burrow, and I think they're going to be right there, neck and neck. I mean, it could be disparity of a few points, but I just have Joe Burrow ranked at number 2 because we saw that little bit of Joe Burrow magic at the end of the season last year. So
definitely. So you got your 2 and 3 out the way. My number 3 is a guy I just couldn't drop any lower is Patrick Mahomes, man. Like, he just scares me. I wanted to drop him, I really did, but they got enough guys. They got Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman, Travis Kelce. They brought in that dude from Green Bay, MVS, Valdez-Scantling, whatever. He's fast too. They got Juju, so they got. It's not Tyreek Hill, but he's still gonna be able to throw that ball around, spread the ball out, and he's still Patrick Mahomes. So for me, he's gonna have to keep up with these guys in that division. So I just worry that he's gonna throw 5-6 touchdown passes still, and I have a feeling the Chiefs. He's gonna be more motivated than ever. I think Andy Reid is going to be motivated to dial it up because, they, like you said before, they got rid of Tyreek pretty easily. And don't count out the Chiefs.
Yeah, so you have my number 4 there. I do want to touch back on Justin Herbert because I didn't get a full chance to tell people why I think he's going to be my MVP. So before I get into Patrick, Justin Herbert, man, so Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett. They brought in Gerald Everett, who's a big body tight end. And then, obviously having Austin Eckler and, they have some other barn burners down there.
They got another running back too. So they got some depth at running back. They got depth at receiver, tight end. They're loaded, man.
They're going to be good. And you mentioned that they got better on defense. They got way better on defense. So getting that guy the ball back, he's going to, and dude, he's as talented as the other 2 guys I've ever mentioned. He's as talented as Patrick Mahomes. Like this guy, that very first game when he came in, when Tyrod Taylor mysteriously got injected, into his mind, I had to miss that game. Well, Justin Herbert hasn't looked back since, and he's that dude, and he's that guy. And coming out of Oregon, man, I was really high on him when he got drafted, and I thought he was the best quarterback out of that draft. And Joe Burrow has something to say about that, and there's some good quarterbacks that came out of that draft. But he is prototypical. He's a big dude, and he keeps getting better and better and better and better and better. And this is the year that you're right. He's going to put everything together. I think more for him, he's going to run a complete offense, and that's why I did put Joe Burrow above him. He's going to run more of a complete offense, and Eckler's going to get a lot of goal line stuff. And Herbert doesn't really run a lot. Yeah, but. Well, I like Eckler more than I like Joe Mixon, especially around the goal line. But anyway, Justin Herbert, to me, he's gonna lead the Chargers to a really, really good record, and that's why he's gonna be MVP to me. Sorry, I had to go back to that real quick. You talked about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is another one. He's that dude. He's that guy. You're right. I did mention about how Tyreek got shipped out kind of quickly. They went back and they got a guy named Sky Moore in the draft. They seem to really like him. They were talking about maybe him filling those Tyreek shoes. Those are pretty big shoes to fill as a rookie. Yeah, but there's a lot of hype coming out of camp with that kid.
He's got a good number.
Yeah, they went Juju Smith-Schuster, who a couple of years ago was I wouldn't say among the elite, but he was definitely a very, very good receiver.
He'll get 60, 70 catches. He'll be a nice pickup for them.
Yeah, and they still have Travis Kelce.
And they got Hardman and Valdez-Scantling. Those guys will take the top off too, and they can take a short one, make it into a long one. So they're gonna be fine, dude.
You talked about how you wanted to fade him too, and people might fade him. I've been seeing him go in the top 3 as far as rankings are concerned, and I've seen him as low as 7. I don't agree with the 7 ranking like that. That's dropping him too far.
That's when I will go ahead and take one early. Let me get him in round 5 or 6, and I'll be really happy with that.
Yeah, we talked about how draft strategy, if you guys have watched that video, draft strategy, if an elite quarterback's sitting there in round 5, you can jump up and get him and feel pretty comfortable with that. Rounds 5 through 7 is where you can start to see him go. We're just not big fans of drafting him in the top 3 rounds. It's just not pliable, and you have a better chance of winning by going to other positions. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes at 4 for me. You have him at 3. So who's your number 4?
My number 4, and I was going back and forth between a couple guys that are kind of similar, but I went with the guy that just got paid, and that's Kyler Murray. I think offensively, he's got his boy Hollywood from Oklahoma, so they go back. I think that's going to be actually a really good pickup for him. He's an upgrade over Christian Kirk, I feel, because he's just a better fit in that system. So when Hopkins comes back, I think he's going to have a strong finish to the year, because then you compare those guys. You got Zach Ertz at tight end, AJ Green. Offensively, he's got plenty of weapons at his disposal. So he got paid. He's going to have to keep pace in that division. He's going to have to score some points. I think Kyler Murray's going to have actually a pretty good year, and I put him just because the offense that he's in. And I trust him. I trust that offense a little bit more than the next guy. But this other guy, speaking of Oklahoma, I'll let you – or you already got your 4 out the way.
I did. Patrick was my number 4.
Right. So number 4 for me was Kyler.
Yeah, and then who's your number 5?
For 5, I was going back and forth, and this one's Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I think the addition of A.J. Brown – I think he might have finished even better than 5 last year. He might have been QB1, dude. Like he had a damn good year last year. Yeah, he was up there last year. And then you add AJ Brown. I mean, why not? All of a sudden one of those slants that you were throwing, one of those short ones that you were throwing to one of the other guys before turns into a 50, 60-yard touchdown run, because AJ Brown's a fucking beast. Mm-hmm. So, Jalen Hurts, I think he's going to have another good year.
Yeah, he's my number 5 also. And, Jalen's the kind of guy that he's not, as far as fantasy is concerned, he's going to be one of the top 5 guys. I mean, I couldn't put him outside of the top 5 only because how much he means to his team, and he runs the ball, and the addition of A.J. Brown. The one thing I say about Jalen is he has a lot to grow as an NFL quarterback. As a
passer. And one thing, sorry to cut you off. One thing, he's probably their best goal line runner
option, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So,
and he's probably their first option on the goal line too. So, as far as a quarterback between the 20s, he's got a lot of growing to do. He's got to learn. He can't force the ball. Like last year, you saw him force the ball to Devontae Smith and, Goddard a little bit. Those were his 2 big options.
Might get away with that sometimes now with A.J. Brown, but he shouldn't do it, though. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and unless if you're, Aaron Rodgers would force the ball to Devontae Adams, every once in a while. But he's been in the league for 15 years, so 17 years like that. Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah. So he's got a little bit of growing to do, but I do like the kid. I do think that he is
fantasy wise.
He's going to be a good quarterback in this league. I don't ever see that. I don't ever see him being like that ultimate leader. I don't see him in the AFC guys, like the Joe Burrow.
You saw him in the playoff matchup, and that playoff matchup against the Bucks, dude. Like he was outclassed. That defense was all over his ass. So he's not. But fantasy wise, go
ahead and go draft him, and you'll get those 30-point outbursts because he has those games too. But he does not with his legs. And
he can run for 2 and throw for 2, man.
Mentioning guys that usually do it with just their legs. My number 6 is Lamar Jackson. Lamar, he doesn't have any weapons, man. Mark Andrews is his top weapon. Rashad Bateman, we talked about, could have a breakout year. Behind that, they have like
Duvernay.
Duvernay and Prochet and like guys that are special teamers. Like, so they don't have any weapons. And he lost Hollywood Brown, and they didn't replace him. So Lamar is going to have to do a lot on his legs. Him and J.K. Dobbins are probably going to be the ones that lead that offense. Mark Andrews might have a really big year, might put up Kelsey numbers only because he's going to have to. But Lamar, the only reason I have Lamar at 6 is because the threat that he has on his legs, and he's probably going to score more rushing touchdowns, and he's going to have to do more this year. Talk about a dark horse MVP. Like if the Ravens come out with a good record, don't be surprised if Lamar gets his second MVP, because he's going to have to be that for them to be good, and for them to have a good record. But he's a very, very dark horse to me, because I don't think the Ravens are going to be that good, all because they don't really have anything on offense other than, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews and, of course, Lamar.
Yeah, that's a big loss. Hollywood was a big loss for him, man. That was his second, I guess, option, because he always looks to Andrews first. But that was a guy that he got open. Yeah, he dropped a few of them, but he got open, and that was a nice little relief guy that he can just, chuck it up to. And now who's going to get open deep? Because Bateman's more of a possession guy. He's not a guy that really take the top off. He's got good hands, which will help him because it's almost like another Andrews for him, someone you could trust. And I think he's going to have a lot of catches, but he's not going to have a huge breakout year, not with Lamar throwing you the ball. I actually faded him one spot. I got Joe Burrow at number 6, who speaking of fade, I faded him a little bit more than you did. I think, and the reason being for me is that offense, that team, they were just in the Super Bowl. They're trying to get back there. I don't think they have goals to maybe win MVP or do anything other than win a Super Bowl. They're coming back for it. They fixed an offensive line, and I think they're going to run the ball, and they're going to play good defense. They're not going to be a team that has to throw the ball a lot, because they're going to be ahead and they're going to be beating teams. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the league. I could see them getting back, maybe them, the Chargers, the Bills. Man, the AFC is going to be a dogfight down the stretch to get there. And I think that that's what their focus is on that, not Joe Burrow winning MVP, throwing 50 touchdowns. It could happen. They got maybe the best trio of receivers in the league, but are they going to just run it up on everybody? I think that they're
Let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question about Joe Burrow. We talked about this in that playoff run that he had last year, and he came up with he has a new nickname, and he's now Icy Joe Burrow. Like, this dude has the swag, and you don't think he's going to want to put numbers up on guys. They're definitely going to play Kansas City this year. They're definitely going to play the Bills this year. I don't know. I haven't seen their schedule, but I'm guessing the NFL is going to want to put these games on the schedule. And this dude's going to want to go out. He's going to want to prove he's the best AFC quarterback. And I know they have Joe Mixon, and he's a top 7 back. But how do you think they're going to get ahead in those games? You think that Joe Burrow is just not going to throw 3 touchdowns a game? Like, I do. I honestly do. And, I mean, he has all the fucking talent around him that you could possibly want. And, yes, I understand Joe Mixon's going to have a good year, and, they're going to run the ball. But they went out and got tackles.
A top 20 running back, too. I understand you love the guy because he.
But they went out and got tackles. They went and got tackles for a reason, not to run off tackle. They went out and got tackles to protect Joe Burrow. They didn't go out and get tackles. They didn't go out and get tackles to protect Joe Mixon. They went out to protect.
A bit of both. Joe Mixon didn't have a good Super Bowl.
He had a good Super Bowl, but they went out and
he had a good playoff run. He had a good season. He was a top tier running back last year.
But they went out.
They're a top tier team.
They went out to protect their top.
He finished hot though. He did finish hot.
They went out to protect their future $500 million man. That's what they went out and got offensive line, and they're building around Burrow. They're not building around Mixon. They're building around Burrow. Now, I mean, you can sit there and think they're going to run the ball more. We could have said that last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that.
What are you talking about?
Joe Burrow is the gunslinger, dude, and he's going to be a gunslinger, and he has that swag, and he's going to want to go out. And I mean, the one person I'm fading on that team is Evan McPherson, because they're going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns. So that's how I feel about Burrow. But you dropped him to 6. You surprised me a little bit with that. So number 7 for me, that's where I put Kyler. So Kyler, if there's a quarterback in the NFL right now that he has a lot of growing up to do, and he needs to realize what this league's about, it's Kyler. Yes, he got paid. He kind of threw a little bit of a hissy fit to get that payday. I don't think he's worth the payday he just got. I don't think he's a $45 million man, but that's what quarterbacks are going for. And that's what you have to pay a guy that you picked in the first overall. So I understand it. I don't think he's lived up to that yet. I do think he has the arm talent, but he definitely hasn't, he's not Joe Burrow. He's not Justin Herbert. He hasn't done anything yet. They went out and, Hopkins is suspended for at least or for the first 6 games at most. I mean, they could be appealed to something smaller. They went out and got Hollywood Brown. So you like that, Matt, you root for that connection. Zach Ertz, that was a big addition late in the season last year. I faded him only because I don't know if I think 7's a really good spot to have him at. I don't know if that's really a fade for me. But he will put up fantasy points for you. He uses his legs a lot. He'll have those games. But I couldn't justify putting him over the top 6. The only person I could see putting him over would have been Lamar, only because he has a little bit more weapons. But Lamar has done it. And that is a guy that's worth that much money because he's taken his team to the playoffs and stuff like that. Kyler took him to the playoffs and then fucking imploded. So that's why I have him at 7. But again, talent alone, he does deserve to be at 7.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just fantasy wise, I'm talking about who's going to score more points, and I think Kyler's going to score more points. He's in a more high profile offense. He's the focal point of that offense. He's going to use his legs a little bit more. I know he got dinged up last year, but I think he's going to have a little bit more room to run because he's got a guy taking the top off. And then you got your guy underneath, Ertz, too. So he's going to have plenty of options. I think he's going to have a good year. My number 7 was Lamar, though. I think that he's going to take a step back just because the passing is he's not going to have the same passing numbers. I think his rushing might take an increase a little bit. And if he does, then, yeah, like you said, he can maybe get in that MVP race. But I just don't see it happening. I don't think he's going to have a huge year. I think the Ravens could have a good year because their defense is good. They could run the ball, and they got Lamar who can make plays. So I think as a team, sure, they can make the playoffs, but it's going to be another quick exit for them. I don't think they're going to do much of when and if they get there. So I'm not too high on them. I think as a team, just because that dude can coach. Harbaugh can coach their defense. They got some secondary guys coming back. So as a team, sure, they might be competitive. They might be pretty good. But, Mark Andrews is the highest Raven on my board for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he we'll get into tight ends, but he's going to be – I mean, not to show out my hand too early, but he's going to be in the top 2 for me. So number 8, I have Matthew Stafford. So,
wow.
Yeah, I have Matthew Stafford number 8, and it's just the weapons around him, man. And he went out and he rebirthed his career last year and won them the Super Bowl, and that connection he has with Cooper Kupp is just unstoppable. Went out, got Allen Robinson. They have Van Jefferson. Cam Akers is healthy. Tyler Higbee is a good sleeper tight end down there. I mean, I wouldn't draft him until the last round or something, but they have some guys down there that he can throw to. They're not, people who are waiting on Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. is probably not going to play this year. If he does, he'll play for the Rams. He'll play for the Packers. He'll play for a contender. But he has the weapons, and he is very accurate. And he's in a division, man, with the Seahawks and really the Cardinals that really don't have. I mean, Budda Baker is a good safety down in Arizona, but they don't really have good secondaries. San Francisco, that's their 1 weak spot too, is their secondary. So I can see Matt just kind of picking those teams apart, and he's going to be in a lot of primetime games because they're the Super Bowl champs, and he does well in primetime. So I like Matt Stafford. I've always liked Matt Stafford. I bumped him up a little bit only because he fits that offense, and he's a damn good quarterback.
He's my number 8 as well, man. I have him there for all those same reasons. I thought I was pushing him up a little bit. I guess I'm not the only one. I had him last year on one of my teams, and he was pretty steady. He had some games where he would only score like 17, 16, and I guess that you're getting greedy when you want him to score 25 every week. But I mean, so actually, some of these other guys actually do. So that's why they're rated a little bit higher. But he'll pop. He'll get you 30 sometimes. He's gonna have some big games. So I agree. I think the offense, he's gonna be even more comfortable. And the Allen Robinson pickup to me that's massive. I think getting another guy you can trust. The way OBJ finished the season, I think, is the way Allen Robinson's going to have an entire season. To me, he's one of my breakout guys to watch when we get into that segment. It's going to be Allen Robinson. I think he's going to have a really big year. Matthew Stafford at 8 as well. Number 9 for me, I got Russell Wilson. I got him, Russell Wilson, man. He's up and down. He's been up and down. And the reason I got him here, I just think that they're going to be in that division. He's going to have to score a ton of points. You're going to be against the Chiefs, the Raiders, and who else we got? And the Chargers. So that division is the deepest, most loaded division in the game. And in order to win games, and Russ always wins games. He always finds a way. So, and he doesn't have the top 2 that he had, but over there he had really 2 options to throw to. Is either DK and Lockett, and DK is limited in his route tree. So if you ask me, I think he's got maybe a better overall group of pass catchers that he's throwing the ball to, because he's got Judy, Sutton, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, and he's got a decent tight end too. So to me, and some running backs that he can throw the ball to out of the backfield that can both catch. So not to mention he can use it himself. So, I mean, he's just going to have to, and he's in a position to where he's going to spread it around. I think, Russell Wilson, he's going to have a pretty good year.
Well, first off, before we go any further from the Broncos, I'll give you $5 if you can pronounce their tight end's first or last name.
No.
Yeah.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Okay, Woobenam is.
That dude.
Yeah.
Hey, but he had a not too bad of a year last year. So
he's actually a talented guy. Yeah, he's a talented guy. And again, I don't want to throw anything, but he's one of my sleeper tight ends. But at 9, man, I'm going to get some shit for this one only because he's Mr. Quarterback draw. But Dak Prescott, I had Dak last year. I like the guy. I like the guy's character. I think he has talent around him. I think the loss of Amari is last year I had him as a top 5 or 6 quarterback. The loss of Amari is going to be pretty big for that offense. But I think the emergence of CeeDee Lamb is coming, and I think that we're about to see that. Tony Pollard is another guy that's kind of emerging, and he's a very, very good back out of the backfield. He has a good rapport with Dalton Schultz. So Dalton Schultz, again, tight ends, we're getting into that. He's one of my guys to watch this year too. Where else is he going to get offense for me though? And that's why I dropped him down here. And but I also brought him up because I like the guy. I like the guy as a leader, and I think when he's healthy, I think he's definitely a top 10 guy. Where is the offense going to come from outside of CD? And the running game. So I want to see where that comes from. If Michael Gallup's healthy and he's able to be that number 2 guy, he needs to step up. That guy, we've been talking about him for 5 years, and he's just never stepped into that role. Now he has an opportunity to do it. So let's see what happens. But not going too far into it, but Dak's my number 9.
I actually faded him a little bit more, and you kind of alluded to why, and that's because where else? If you're a defense, you got a key on CD, almost double that. And then Gallup's coming off injury. Is he even going to be ready week 1? Dalton Schultz. He's a good fantasy option because I think he's actually going to see an increase in targets because, like I said, the attention is going to roll to CD, and he's going to have opportunities. But
that division, their defenses are really, really bad. Really bad, historically bad. The Redskins were historically bad last year. So that's another reason why you can talk about. He's definitely the best quarterback in that.
They lost Chase Young last year. That was 2 years ago. The Redskins defense was pretty good,
but they were historically bad even with Chase Young. Man, I mean, they were just not good last year. So
the year before that, they were in the playoffs. Anyways, I'm not. For me, I dropped him a little bit, and for me, the guys that I have up here, I got Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. These are guys that could run and do it themselves. So they're going to score a lot of fantasy points. Other than that, you got Josh Allen, Herbert. These guys are in high scoring offenses, even Burrow. And to me, the next guy, Tom Brady, is he's going to be in a higher scoring offense and more passing, more well-balanced passing attack than Dak Prescott. So I got Tom at number 10. He rounds out my 10, and to me, he's going to take a step back from last year. I think that we are going to be a more well-rounded team. I don't think he's going to be as pass-heavy when you lose Gronk and Antonio Brown, and you got Chris Godwin maybe sidelined to start the season. All you got is Mike Evans, Cameron Brate. You signed Kyle Rudolph and Russell Gage. We got some other guys too, but either way, like I could see him. He's been part of balanced teams. He knows what it's like to have a good defense and a good running game, and I think we're going to be a balanced team. So I think that's why he drops a little bit to 10. That being said, when Godwin comes back and we have Godwin, Gage, Evans, we got a couple of tight ends, we got Lenny out the backfield. So, and we're going to have to score points to win games. Since he's been in Tampa, the offense has been top tier. So I don't see it going to stop anytime soon. So for me, he still has to be a top 10 guy.
Yeah, he's my number 10 too. Because he has out of my next three, I mean, these guys are legendary quarterbacks. I mean, they've been in the league for a long time. You know what you're getting with them. You know that they're going to go out and get you 30 and only throw 7 picks, and you know what you're going to get. And they're very, very safe guys. And Tom Brady, out of those 3 guys, has the most talent around him. He's pushing 44. He's ageless, but he's pushing his 44, 45 age season. I mean, at some point, you would think that his numbers would drop off, and they just don't. So you just know what you're going to get with him. You know that he's going to score 30 touchdowns. I mean, he's going to lead his offense to be a very, top 10 offense. And again, if you draft Tom Brady, you're going to, what you're getting, and you're getting a guy who he wins and he scores touchdowns. So yeah, he's a top 10 guy. To me, I have him over Rodgers. I have him over Wilson only because of that reason. I think he has the most talent around him too. And with Godwin, his health is going to be a big telling story of how that season is going to go. I hope he's ready for week 1 because I like Chris Godwin, but there's going to be an emergence of somebody in that offense, and we don't know who it's going to be yet. You talked about Russell Gage. It could be Russell Gage. They have some really young guys there too that, Tom could trust. You'll know this before I do, but he was like number 18. The kid that kind of
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, Tyler Johnson. That's the kind of kid. That's a kid to kind of keep an eye on, because you could see the trust kind of forming at the end of the season last year. And when Tom finds that guy, he can start to target a little bit more. But if Chris Godwin plays, like the targets will be really short. But if Godwin's out. Yeah, if Godwin's out, you could see Gage and Tyler Johnson, guys like that, get a lot more targets. And then Kyle Rudolph, is another safety net in kind of the red zone. He's a good red zone tight end.
He'll score like 6 touchdowns this year, 5 or 6. But it's hard to roster him because out of 14 games, you're going to try to pick. You don't do that.
Yeah,
that's for Tommy. That's just
he's a DFS guy. Yeah, he's a DFS guy. He's not a rosterable guy.
Right. It adds to Tommy's floor, and I think Tom's floor, like you mentioned, is going to be 18 to 20. So that's good. That's something you can get in round 8 to 10, and feel pretty good about a guy you can start every game.
Well, every draft kind of has, and we see this every year. As soon as the first quarterback goes, you start to see the quarterback train. So yeah, I mean, if the quarterback goes, if Josh Allen's going in the 4th, you start to see Patrick Mahomes in the 5th and 6th. You're going to start seeing, quarterbacks might go earlier in your drafts, or they might fall a little bit, and you might be sitting there in round 8, 9, 10 and be able to draft a very, very serviceable quarterback. But the difference between having Tom Brady and Josh Allen really isn't going to be that big of a difference. So, and you can have 4 or 5 players on your roster that are going to score a lot more points. So that's what we talk about with quarterbacks. And again, you know what you're getting with Tom Brady, and you're going to get a floor of 17, 18 points. So again, that rounds out our top 10. 11 for me is another one of those guys that, again, he's been in the league for a long time, is Russell Wilson. You talked about him a little bit earlier. Out of these 3 guys, I think that he has the second most talent on his team. and that's why I have him at 11. This is Russ's, to me, he's already kind of proven himself. There's nothing else that he can go out and add. He's already a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's already a legendary quarterback. But this is his chance to say fuck you to everybody. And, they traded him, and I thought he was going to be a Seahawk for life. They traded him. This is his chance to go out and say, hey, you know what? I didn't need you, Pete, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to win it and, win with the Broncos. So I do expect Russ to have a good season. He has talent around him. He has Jerry Jeudy around him, Cortland Sutton around him, two good backs. I do expect him to have a good season. He has the second most talent around him for one of these aged guys, so that's why I have him at 11.
11. I had him doing a little bit better. My 11 for me, I got Derek Carr. Okay. He's got, speaking of talent around him, what trio of pass catchers would you rather have almost in the whole league? Damn near, man. That's you got a guy that can do it all. You got an explosive tight end, and you got a guy that can't really be covered one-on-one in Hunter Renfrow. So for me, that's where they got to start. They got Josh McDaniels as their new head coach. They got to throw it first and second, and then run it whenever it opens up, man, because you got guys that are just – how do you guard that? How do you defensively – you can't double Devontae, and if you do, that means you're singling up Waller or Renfrow. Then they're going to have big gains. So it's tough, man. How do you guard that? To me, they're going to throw, and they're going to – and Derek Carr, he's been underrated, man. He had what, Zay Jones he was throwing touchdowns to, Nelson Aguilar a couple years ago he had a big year with. Like he's a good quarterback, and he's in that division to where you want to win. Like the last game of the season, the last game of the season last year was it week 17 against the Chargers, that shootout that they were in, man. He answered it. He's a fourth quarter guy, man. He's actually pretty damn clutch. So for me, I got Derek Carr, number 11. I think he's going to have a damn good year. He's another guy that's in one of these top tier offenses.
We talked about his clutch rating, dude. He's actually got the most wins in the fourth quarter and overtime, I think, over anybody since he's been in the league. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a surprising stat. But yeah, I mean, he's pretty clutch. I mean, you're right about the talent around him. I see a Josh McDaniels offense being a little bit more run heavy, but he has a talent around him, so I could be completely wrong about that.
Yeah, you can't be run heavy with those. Those are your three best offensive players. Josh Jacobs is behind those four players. Those four players are your best offensive players on your team, and you got to play around them. You got to throw the ball, man.
Yeah. I mean, again, it depends if the coach. Josh McDaniels, to me, isn't one of the better head coaches. He wasn't one of the better offensive coordinators even. I mean, I know he was with the Patriots during their run, but
I was going to say, didn't he coordinate Brady to some pretty high scoring seasons?
No, Brady coordinated his ass. Come on, dude. Don't sit there and discount the GOAT like that. You know better than that.
Someone's calling plays.
Yeah, but he does have more of a run heavy. I mean, a more traditional style offense. But is he going to be more towards his team, like where, like he sees the talent around him. He sees the talent around him, or is he going to be like, hey, I coach this style, you play my style? I hope if he can adapt to his team and see that he has an explosive offense and Derek Carr can sling the ball. Yeah, dude, they're going to be a top tier because they have talent everywhere. The offensive line has holes like Swiss cheese, though, so we'll see how much time that Derek Carr can have to throw the ball. And that's
guys, those three will get up and quick, and your pre-snap reads, you can be able to tell, send Hunter in motion, and you'll be able to, you can get some tells, man. Like, how do you guard that team? Defensively, they're hard to cover.
Yeah, they're gonna see a lot of zone this year. I mean, they're gonna try to bait Derek into throws, and there's times like his one knock is he'll throw those baited throws. So I have him dropped only because there's guys ahead of him that I'd rather have. Number 12 is the back. I'm sorry. Are we at 12? We're at 12, right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Did you say you're 11?
Yeah, Russ Wilson.
Okay, yeah. Then 11 was Carr for me. Yeah.
Okay. So who's your number 12?
I got him. I got Dak Prescott at 12. I faded him down to 12. To me, like I just mentioned, Derek Carr. He can sling it, and he's got those three weapons that you can't cover. For me, I explained how you kind of cover. You make Dalton Schultz beat you. You make Michael Gallup beat you if you're a defense, and if they do, then you tip your cap. And Dak, congratulations, you did that. But the other guy, like I said, I think that Derek Carr is going to be in a more this year. I think he's going to be in more pass heavy offense than Dak. I think the re-emergence of Zeke, not too crazy, but Zeke Pollard combination, it's a damn good one. They're going to be running the ball. They're going to be try to be a balanced offense. And when they throw, his first option is always going to be CD, but you know where the coverage is going to be. So I just have them. I have him dropped a little bit because I think they're going to be a little bit more balanced. And defensively, they're getting better. Michael Parsons has arrived. They're a more complete team. They're not in a division to where they're going to have to score a ton of points. If they can just get wins, and that's all Dak wants to do is win and win in the playoffs. So I have him dropped to 12.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy. The one thing I'll say about the Cowboys is Mike McCarthy likes to throw the ball a little bit more. He's more of a 65-35 throw to run kind of coach. He was like that in Green Bay too. So I just think that they're going to throw a little bit more than people are going to expect. I think they're going to do a lot of dump offs to Zeke and Pollard, and I think Tony Pollard. I think we started to see it at the end of last season. I really think that guy's going to emerge this year. That's why I faded Zeke to 2021 is because I do think Tony Pollard is going to be it's going to be more of a 50-50 and he's
right, they got Tony Pollard, Zeke Elliott, and a good offensive line. If you're a coach, why would you throw the ball to? I know you got CD who's talented out there, but I mean, like I said, play to your strengths.
We'll see what happens, but McCarthy is he's known to throw the ball a bit more. Number 12, I have Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back MVPs. Now he lost Devontae Adams, and that's really why he's not in my top 10. Aaron Rodgers, though, has this knack of, he did it with Jordy Nelson. He has this knack of just taking, I'm not saying that Devontae Adams is average, but he can take an average guy and make him special. So they drafted Christian Watson. And again, we're going to get into sleepers again. And he's one of my major sleepers because he could be the guy who emerges. Now, I know right now he's on the PUP list and he may not be ready through training camp, stuff like that. I expect him to be ready week 1, but this kid could really be Aaron's guy. I know he really likes Allen Lazard. So Allen Lazard can step into those Devontae. Now, are they as talented? Fuck no. Not even close. If you even put Allen Lazard in the same breath as Devontae Adams, like there's something wrong with you. But Aaron can elevate these guys. He likes Bob Tunyon. He likes Aaron Jones. Like he likes the guys around him. And I think that's why they went out and I mean, he probably was pissed off when they got rid of his top target, but we kind of saw that coming, right? We started talking about that at the end of last year. We saw the divorce between we started projecting Aaron Rodgers was going to be divorced from Green Bay and Devontae was going to go move on. It was going to be one or the other. Well, they picked Aaron and he's going to do just fine with the guys around him.
Yeah, he is. I think they're going to be contending for that division still because he just knows how to win games, and especially in that division, he has like a big brother mentality over those guys. Like he just feels like he owns them, literally. So I feel like, yeah, they're going to win games, but I have him faded to 13 as well for those same reasons. I feel like their defense, they're going to have Jair back for a full year. I think their defense is going to be improved offensively. I think they're actually going to be one of the more balanced and, running the ball. They're going to be one of the better running teams. They got that combination. It's probably right behind the Browns for the best running back combination in the game with Dillon and Jones. So I think they're going to be balanced. They're going to run the ball really well. And that's why I have him faded just a little bit, but it's still Aaron Rodgers. Even if he does have Lazard, Watson, Tunyon, Cobb, that's enough. That's enough for him to throw for 250 and 2 touchdowns. So for me, he's still got a safe floor. I just don't know how many big, huge games he's going to have or need anymore, especially in that division. So, yeah, I have him at 13, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, 13 for me is staying in that division, Captain Kirk Cousins, man. This is one of the value picks that he just always finds himself in the top 10 every year. Like last 3 years, he is another one of those 30 touchdown, 8 interception type guy. One knock on Kirk is, he doesn't show up in primetime games, and he'll have those games where he absolutely disappears. He'll have 165 yards. But the one thing I'll say about Kirk is he is the leading, like right now, he has the longest streak of active games and active game streak of a touchdown. And I think it's like 36 games or something like that. So he does throw a touchdown in almost every single game. Problem with him is he'll throw a touchdown and have 78 yards. So he'll have those kind of games. And then he'll have his outbursts where he have 363 and 4. So he'll have those games too. He doesn't turn the ball over as much as he used to. Turnovers were down last year. He's got the talent around him. He's got, arguably top 2, top 3 receiver in the game. He has his blanket in Adam Thielen. He's getting his tight end back. Irv Smith, let's pray that he doesn't get hurt again, but he'll have Irv Smith this year. There's a kid that came on the end of last year, especially in week 8. Week 18, yeah. Week 18 against the Bears. His name's Amir Smith Marset. And I know we have KJ Osborne was our number 3 last year, but I really like the emergence of this kid, and he's a guy that can take the top off. And so he has more weapons down there than people think. Of course, I'm a Vikings fan, so I see it, and I'll, who the fuck is Amir Smith Marset? Well, if you watched week 18 last year, I mean, he was just unstoppable. And I know that's kind of the week where people sleep and stuff, but
Against the Bears.
Yeah, against the Bears. But hey, he had a good week, and it's the NFL, and he went out and he proved it. I think that he could be a guy to keep an eye on. Also, KJ Osborne's another one on that team. So they have a passing down specialist now on 3rd down. So Dalvin might not have to play 3 downs. You'll see Alexander Madison, play down there too. But Kirk, to me, is a top 10 guy. He's always right around that range. Is he a top 10 talent? Flip a coin. He can be, and then he doesn't at the same time. So I respect the guy as a Vikings fan. Do I wish we had, another guy like a Deshaun Watson who's coming up here in a second? Yeah. But I really respect Kirk for what he does, and I can't knock the guy any more than 13. So
I can, and I did. I just I had Aaron Rodgers at 13. So I mean, I trust these guys a little bit more. Like, yeah, he's in a more pass heavy offense. I'll get to him in a minute when I get to him. But yeah, but he's just hard to trust. Like you said, he'll have those big games, but then he'll have those not so good games. My number 14, we're on 14 now, right? For me, I got Trey Lance. I think that he has a chance to enter the maybe Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Lamar, because he's going to be using his legs. And he also has a big arm. So he's got Ayuk, he's got Debo, he's got Kittle, he's got plenty of weapons. He's got the best offensive lineman in the game with Trent Williams protecting him. So for me, he's got no excuses. You got the talent. You got supposedly the offensive coach to do it. So for me, why not? Why not, Trey? This is your chance to step up. He's one of my sleepers. Also, I actually think he's going to have a good year. So Trey Lance, number 14.
I have him at 15 because I put Deshaun at 14. So I put Deshaun at 14, and I would have put him higher, but we just don't know what's going to happen down there. We still haven't heard from the league. There's gonna be a suspension. There's no way this guy gets out of not having a suspension. It's just at this point, how long? If it's a year long, then obviously he drops out and he's not on your board. If it's a 6-game suspension, he drops pretty low, and you're going to draft him in the last round as a flyer. Yeah, you're going to drop. But if it's a 2 or 3 game suspension somehow, and it's not, and he plays, dude, this guy is a top 5 talent in football, and I don't care who he has around him. I mean, he has Amari Cooper. That's enough to me. He what he did in Houston with nothing, literally had nothing, and he was a top 3 quarterback. So I put him at 14 because yes, I would draft him. I would jump up and draft him based on how long his suspension is. But if you're getting a guy that's only going to miss, say, 4 games, and you're getting a guy in the 11th, 12th round, which is where these guys are going to be dropping to, you just stole Deshaun Watson. And all you have to do is be serviceable with a Derek Carr, with a Trey Lance, with something like that for the first 4 weeks, and then you have yourself your quarterback for the rest of the year.
Right. I have him a lot further down just for those reasons. I have a hard time believing that it's anything shorter than 6 games. And if it's 6 games, then by then, if you're drafting him as your starter, then there's no point in wasting a 12th round pick when you could get like someone else with more value.
But what I just said, if he's only getting 6 games,
we'll find out next week, and then these rankings will change, obviously, depending on that. But I just find it hard to believe he's going to get any less than 6. And honestly, I think 6 is, with all the accusations, everything he went through. Calvin Ridley bet $1,500 on a game, and he's getting a full season. And this dude's about to get 6 games for everything, and who knows? He could be completely innocent, and I could be wrong, whatever. But it's a lot for him. So I'm gonna assume 6 games at a minimum, which is why I have him dropped personally. 15 for me after Trey Lance. I got Tua at number 15, and Tua is a guy that I would easily draft over Deshaun right now with that assumption of it being 6 games. Just being like, if it's not 6 games, yeah, they got an offensive line that Deshaun's never had. He's got a running game that he's never had, 2 sick-ass running backs, and he's got a wide receiver 1. So, yeah, what's not to like about Deshaun if he's on the field and you take everything else out of it? I already said that I feel like they are division contenders, assuming Deshaun is there week 1 and plays, but I can't assume that right now. So, but for that, I can for Tua, and he has the cheetah. He's got 2 electric receivers. He's got a tight end. And they're in a pass-first offense, honestly. With they might do a lot of short passes, but they're still passes, and he's still going to get those yak yards. And so for me, I got Tua. I think that he's going to be in that coach, man. They got that coach that has a bunch of swag. I think offensively, they're going to be a fun team to watch, and I think they're going to be pretty high-scoring offense, man. So for me, I got Tua. I think he's going to have a nice, steady season. He rounds out my top 15.
15, I have Trey Lance. I do think he has an explosive offense. I do want to touch back on Deshaun real quick because you brought up the Calvin Ridley thing. Well, Calvin Ridley, it was proven what he did. Deshaun, it has never been proven there's accusations all over the place. So once if it got proven, which 2 Supreme Court judges have said it didn't happen. So, I mean, now they're going into civil cases and all this other shit just to sweep it under the rug. There will be a suspension because of the personal conduct policy. But if you're not drafting Deshaun Watson to be your star, I mean, fantasy is a 15-week season, 17 if you're guys like us. And if you're not drafting Deshaun Watson to go into the playoffs from week 7 to 17, I mean, yeah, you're drafting him to be your starter from week 7 to 17, and you get a serviceable guy behind him or, something like that to play week 1 through 6.
I'll take a flyer on him.
Because we talked about from 1 to 15, there's not really that much of a differential. Quarterback isn't going to take you. You can stream a quarterback and still win 1 through 6. So if you're not taking a guy like Deshaun Watson based on a 6-game suspension and you're dropping him out of any further than this, I mean, I think that's asinine personally. But the only reason I'd have him at 14 is because, yeah, he's not total points. He's not going to be a guy above Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson because of those first 6 weeks. But yeah, to not have him on your list at all, that's kind of insulting to the guy. If he's suspended the entire year, I get it. Trey Lance going to Trey Lance, what the fuck is going on in San Francisco? We have 2 friends that are huge Niner fans. And there's a lot of rumors about Jimmy going to Seattle now, and that opens the door finally for the unknown, and Trey Lance is finally going to accept the quarterback position in San Francisco. They traded 3 first-round picks for the guy, and then they still started Jimmy. So how much do they like this guy down there? But I know he has a lot of rapport with Brandon Ayuk. So I think that he has an opportunity to – you saw a little bit of a glimpse last year, and I think he's good enough to play quarterback. This is the biggest question mark to me. Trey Lance is the biggest question mark. He's a boomer bust guy for me, but I have him at 15 over guys like Derek Carr, over Tua, and I have Jameis Winston on my list too. I have him over those guys because I think he can be more explosive. You talked about, guys I trust. I don't trust him. I don't trust drafting him. I probably won't draft him, but for guys that do want to draft him, you could have a guy that you might have the next Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say I trust him. I definitely trust him. Like he's this unquestioned starter. I don't think it's even a close to a debate. The reason they haven't traded Jimmy is because nobody wants Jimmy. They're stuck with Jimmy right now, and ultimately, like, why not have a solid backup quarterback like Jimmy? But it's Trey. It's Trey's time. It's definitely gonna be him as the starter, and I think he's gonna have a damn good year. How could you not? If you have any talent around you, and you're in year 2, yeah, he didn't start last year, but that was the plan all along. And now I think that he has a full offseason under his belt. He knows the offense now. He's been around. He developed a little bit. So I think that it's definitely Trey's time.
And that very well could be it.
I think he'll finish in the top 10 too. I think he might finish top 10.
The body language of San Francisco is. Yeah, you might be right. There might not be a trading partner for Jimmy because of the shoulder and everything else. But this guy has taken his team to the Super Bowl. This guy has taken his team to the playoffs, and he's a winner. I mean, he has a high winning percentage. I mean, for teams to not want something like that is pretty crazy. But
they also didn't win despite of him. Everybody knows that
the total body language of San Francisco is Trey ready? Is Trey ready? Is the big question. Is he ready? He might be. 2022 might be the year where Trey's ready, and that's why
he's as ready as Jimmy Garoppolo is. That's for sure. He can take them as far as.
That's not saying much, though. That's not saying, like Jimmy Garoppolo.
But he's got more talent. He's got a lot more talent. He's not as brittle. He's more mobile. Like he's fantasy value is going to increase.
I get it.
He'll be a top 10 guy.
I get it if he's ready. If he's ready and he truly is ready, he'll be a top.
He's gonna have some mistakes. He's gonna make mistakes because this is technically his rookie season, But the one game he started last year, I think he had 20 plus fantasy points. He's gonna score points.
Well, no, he had the 20 plus when he came in that second half against Seattle, and then the next week when he played against Houston, I don't think that was that great of a game. They won that game because it was Houston, but I don't know if he had a great fantasy outlook. I don't know. Again. He's flip a coin with him. But he's a boomer bust guy, and I'll draft him over a guy like Derek Carr. I don't know how far we're going to these rankings, but I'm going to talk about Derek Carr for a second because he was on your list. And I'll talk about Tua for a second too because he was on your list also. But Derek Carr, to me, man, he's not a fantasy guy. I've never been able to draft him in fantasy. This is the year to do it and to roll the dice with him.
He had a few weeks last year where he was balling. To start the year, he was
has a few weeks to where he'll get you 3 points. I just
that was without Devontae Adams though.
Yeah, that was without Devontae, but dude, again, Josh McDaniels is a run heavy guy, and I don't trust him either. So I don't. And then Tua at 17.
I trusted him to put him at 11.
Yeah, and that was way too high. But Tua at 17 for me because I don't trust him. But Tua at 17, he had again, like these guys, these last 3 guys. I'm trying to find like nice words to talk about them because I love Tua, dude. I love that guy's character. What he had to go through at Alabama with the hip. To come out and to play in the NFL, I think that he could have waited like a Trey Lance to play, and he didn't. and now we have this negative connotation towards him. If he can't do it with these weapons, he's not an NFL quarterback. And I hate to say that about the kid because I love his character. But if he can't do it this year with these guys, you need to go out and you need to draft a quarterback in the first round next year.
I started him a few times last year on a team that went to the final.
Yeah, and
I was streaming a quarterback all year, and I started him in just a few matchups because they don't really have a running back they turn and hand the ball to. Their running game is their short pass game. He's going to throw, and now that you add a guy that can take one, because the deep ball has always been his thing. Can he throw the deep ball? Does he have a big arm? Whatever. Some of these short ones down might be long ones. So you got two guys that are electric. So, and then his deep ball, he's maturing. I'm sure he can, get open. Some guys can get open deep. Either way, like that's why I have him at 15. He's not a guy that
he's
going to win your league, but he's streamable. He's a guy that you could roster and you could spot start and that can win you some games here and there.
Yeah, it's going to throwing mechanics with him. You use your hips a lot when you throw. So when he it was like a dislocated hip, like he broke his hip, and his throwing mechanics. So you talk about the deep ball. I mean, from what I'm watching out of in his OTAs and stuff like that, he's underthrowing Tyreek like a motherfucker. So his mechanics his hip might still be affecting his mechanics. So being able to get that deep ball down the field might be an issue for him, and he might underthrow him, trying to force the ball down the field. We'll see. We'll see.
Jamar Chase, he dropped a lot of balls in training camp last year too.
Yeah, but I'm saying, it's not just OTAs and training camp.
Leonard Fournette is packed on quite a bit of weight.
But his entire playing career, not just OTAs, his entire playing career since he broke that hip, he's underthrown the deep ball. So, yeah, Jamar Chase dropped some shit
year without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, but he was underthrowing the deep ball. And what does Tyreek do? He throws the deep ball. So that's the question.
80 yards to the house too.
Yeah, that's not going to happen every play or every game. It might happen once all season. So if that's what you're banking on with Tua, you go ahead, have fun with it. That's why I was league champ last year, because I went and got a Joe Burrow off waivers and not a guy like Tua. But a guy like Tua is very streamable at the end of the year. He's a very streamable quarterback. He's just a question mark to me. And then last guy on my list is the biggest question mark of them all, and that's Jameis Winston. So I want to talk about Jameis because this is your boy. How do you think Jameis fills this year out?
He's gonna have a good year. I got him down the list, but he's gonna have a good year. He's a guy I trust. I think that offensively he's gonna be in a good team. Saints are gonna make the playoffs, and he's gonna have a good year. He's got Chris Olave. He's got a good deep threat. He's got a chain mover, Michael Thomas. He's got Jarvis Landry. So I think he's got some weapons to throw to. Alvin Kamara out the backfield if he plays, when he plays, how that suspension is going to play out. But he's got no shortage of weapons. He's got a good defense. I think they're our playoff team, and I think Jameis is a potential sleeper for sure. I think he definitely is going to have a good year. Now I have him coming up here soon. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as
a little bit more, I just because the balance of that team, I feel like they can run the ball with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. They could end up having a game where he, I know he started last year pretty hot against the Packers, where he threw I think 4 or 5 touchdowns, but then the next 3 or 4 weeks he threw like 4 or 5 touchdowns because they were still winning games, but they're just a balance. They're not going to win solely because of him. It's not. When he first started, he was a gunslinger and all that because he had to be, and he was relied upon. Right now, that's not the case. They're trying to win without relying on him necessarily. So they want to play defense. They want to run the ball. So I have him dropped a little bit, but yeah, sure. I think he's going to have a good year. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think last year he started to show they were trying to protect him from himself, because Jameis wants to be a gunslinger. And you're right. I don't really think that that's necessarily the guy he should be. But with Chris Olave and Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry, and that's a good trio. Kamara, man, I hope he gets suspended for the season. and we're going to find out on August 1st. All the evidence is going to come out against him on August 1st. I hope that guy's done for the season. I hope he's done for longer than that. I think he's a punk. But Mark Ingram's going to be the starting running back, hopefully, for them. And there's a lot of rumors that they're going to go out and make an offer for David Johnson, who would be a great passing down back for them. And not necessarily do everything Kamara can do because he can't, but that would be a very good outlet for Jameis on third down, especially. So I do like him in fantasy. They have a new head coach there. They're going to have a new system, and they might go out and throw the ball a bit more than they did last year. I know they put Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill is now officially a tight end. They classify him as a tight end. Doesn't mean they're not going to take him in on goal line snaps and still do the whole, but that was a Sean Payton thing. And God, that was so frustrating. Even when you had Drew Brees, like they would do it. But I think he's officially classified as a tight end now. And that might lead the way for Jameis to have first team reps again and first team. What's the word? First team volume. So yeah, man, like he's a sleeper to me because he's done it before. He's got to protect himself against himself, because he's one of the worst decision makers this league's seen in a long time. So he's got to be able to have like a clear offense. So, but he's got the talent. He's got the talent. So that's all I gotta say. Any sleepers you have?
I guess we can throw Justin Fields. I think he might be worth a late shout because he's a guy that can use his legs a lot. It's the talent around him. I know they got Mooney and Komet. They got a decent tight end. Komet might be a sleeper tight end. But yeah, they have really just those guys. So I just question the depth of talent around. But they got decent running backs. So I think that he could be a guy that could have. I don't want to compare everyone to Jalen Hurts, but I think he's got a similar skill set. So at best, I think that's a best case scenario is you're hoping for that. It's the offensive line though is the question in Chicago. The offensive line is suspect for sure. So if they can get that short up a little bit and protect this kid, I think that he could actually produce with some. So I think that Justin Fields might be worth like a end of the drafts flyer type situation,
Yeah, I mean, if you wait or if he's your backup, yeah, I mean, you brought up Jalen Hurts because he was the breakout guy last year. So it doesn't hurt to compare anybody to Jalen Hurts because he was the breakout guy, and it could be Justin Fields this year, it could be Trey Lance this year, it could be Tua this year. I mean, we're gonna have a breakout guy, and it very well could be Justin Fields. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can add to that. He's got to show it. They like him down there. They were really excited when they drafted him. So we'll see. To me, he's the fourth guy in that division I would draft. My big sleeper is Jared Goff. Jared Goff a couple of years ago when he was on the Rams, when he had all the talent around him, was a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Well, now that he has Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams and Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift and all these pretty new toys, he could kind of jump himself back up into that conversation of being streamable, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy that he reemerges and has a good year. And in that division, I mean, there's going to be some scoring outbursts in that division too. So we'll see how that plays out. But he's again the NFC North. Like he's another guy that he could very well be a backup quarterback that could reemerge to me.
Right. I have I think the two second year guys, Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. I think that they are two guys that I would feel a little bit more comfortable spot starting because they got something to prove. So they're gonna have games where they're gonna be trying their damnedest to light it up, pile it up, dude, and get some wins. So hopefully, I think they both added to their team. Trevor Lawrence, they spent a ton of money to help him out. He got his guy Travis Etienne back too, so they got a nice little. If Robinson's there, I know he was hurt last year, so I'm not sure when he comes back. But they have a running back kind of with Etienne, who should be a nice little pass catcher out of the backfield. They got their guys they spent money on. I don't know how good they're going to be, Christian Kirk.
A lot of money, yeah. They spent a lot of money.
They spent some money, but we'll see, man. Zach Wilson, I think they drafted well around him, and he actually finished the season, I think, throwing 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception over his last, 2 games.
Mhm.
So I think he has some talent, and they actually Jets had a quietly good offseason, but we're getting into some major sleepers here. So these are guys that I probably wouldn't even draft, that you can spot start if one of these guys are on a bye week maybe. These are guys you're looking for.
The only reason I wanted to kind of bring them up is because there's different leagues. I mean, there's 14 leagues with start 2 quarterbacks. I mean, where all 28, 32 guys have to go on a roster. So, we're not going to talk quarterbacks that much going forward. I mean, we're going to have our sleepers and our busts and our emergents and stuff like that. Just kind of throwing it out there for the guys that are in 14-team leagues or something like that you're desperate. I mean, if guys are drafting quarterbacks early and you're desperate, I mean, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, I mean, again, might be the emergence guy this year. Might be Zach Wilson. Just keep your moms away from Zach Wilson, man. I'm telling you, that kid's dangerous. That kid's dangerous. He's got some swag too. That kid, he might be the next Joe Burrow, dude. He might be the guy that just comes out and just fucking balls out with a team you didn't expect him to ball out with. So, those are our quarterbacks, guys. We go into depth about quarterbacks because, or we don't go into depth about quarterbacks. Is 1 through 20, it's not that big of a difference. You can stream guys and win championships. If you have the luxury of having a Josh Allen on your team, congratulations. You probably went up in the top 3 to get him. But if you're going with a guy like Jameis Winston, good luck to you. You have just a good chance to win the championship as the guy that has Josh Allen. So
it's true. For me last year, I won. Or I didn't win. I got to the final. Like I said, I streamed Tyler Huntley in the final. Tyler Huntley, the backup from the Ravens, because he actually had a few good games, and I was thinking he was going to have another one. Bit me in the ass. He didn't do shit.
Yeah.
He didn't do shit, and I ended up losing the final, whatever. But I got there streaming. So you can get there by streaming a quarterback or whatever you got to do. This position, like I said, you're going to get a lot better read. We're going to do a mock draft here soon, and you're going to see when the average draft position is for our quarterbacks, and you'll see when we're going to be taking them. But for me, they're, like I said, depending on the situation, maybe 4th round, maybe if one of these top guys are there. But for me, it's probably 5 through 7 at earliest.
At earliest, yeah, and we're already starting to get a lot of questions about where to take guys. If you guys are following us on Facebook and Instagram, we post these rankings, like a list ranking. So if you guys have any questions about where we have guys and you forgot where we placed guys, we have the list on Facebook, Instagram. Go ahead and find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. Go ahead and like us on YouTube here. We're on Podbean. All of our podcasts are on Podbean and YouTube and Amazon, all that kind of stuff. And make sure that you stay tuned because, like BT said, we're going to be getting to mocks where we're going to be placing quarterbacks. We'll get into sleepers and all that other kind of stuff. So, BT, got anything else?
Yeah, man, stay tuned. Like you said, we got tight ends coming up next. That's going to be our last rankings breakdown, and then we're going to get into we got some breakout guys, we got some potential bust guys, we got sleepers, and then the mock. We're going to see if we can have some of our former champions of our league that we're in to help join us, and we're going to get a mock draft going, and that's going to be that's going to be big. I don't know if you guys mock. I definitely mock. I haven't started really much yet because there's not a lot of action in them right now, but it is a good way to kind of gauge where guys are going, especially if you can get some guys that you can trust and that know what they're doing, and you can mock with them. You can kind of get a real good gauge of where guys are going to go this year, and you never know, you might be able to wait. And if you can wait and get a guy later, 1 round later than he's projected, then those are the value picks you're looking for. Those are the league winners you're looking for right there. So stay tuned. We're going to help you out. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time for Tight Ends.
Peace.